Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Hey, Craig.
It's on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's on you, it's on me. Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Well, we recorded this thing a week fucking late because last weekend it was a perfect Cougar hoops weekend, both the women and men sweeping the weekend. But of course, life got in the way, as it does for us sometimes. So we delayed recording till this week, and now we get to talk about a winless Cougar hoops weekend. Such is life here.
It really was the perfect weekend too, because it was not only did the teams, win all their games, but you and I went to Pullman, which is, there's nothing more perfect than that, right? We went to, went to the Coug, went to the game, went to Valhalla, went back to the Coug, went to Etsy, where many woohoo shots were consumed, and lots of loud music and Craig dancing and
woohoo.
Yeah, and Jeff looking at his watch and going, it's about 1:15. I think I've about had it. And Craig's still out on the dance floor, so I just sent him a text, said, I'm out. See you back at the hotel. And I walked back to the Quality Inn from downtown, which was actually a little bit longer of a walk than I kind of thought it was.
It's good for you,
man. I thought it's good. I don't know. It was great.
To get some fresh air.
I absolutely endorse the idea, like after a night of consuming lots of drinks, going for a nice long walk at the end of the night without any drinking. I think it's very good and healthy. It just was one of those things, like I started I'm like, well, shit, I'm walking back. I might as well start a walk on my watch. Right. So I'm like, I start a little walk and I'm walking and walking and walking. And of course it's, late and that part of campus, there's nobody out on that part of campus at that time of night. So, I'm walking across the bridge and out by Stevenson and Sellas. And I'm like, shit, man, I feel like I've been walking a long time. I look down, I've already hit a mile and I'm like, geez, I've still got a little ways to get back to the hotel. So eventually stumbled my way, back into the room and
well, you're lucky out. we didn't like, we just stay at the Quality and not like the Residence Inn, because that would have been even longer.
Yeah. Well, is it
more uphill?
Is it by the time you cut across campus, is it longer, or is it just like more uphill and sort of obnoxious in that way?
It's definitely more uphill. I think it's longer too.
Well, yeah, for sure that part, but I don't know. I wonder if it's actually longer or if it's just more annoying. I don't know,
man.
Whatever.
Yeah,
so it was good.
Yeah,
exercise.
If you walk through campus, it's still like 2 miles. So it's a lot longer.
Yeah, that would have been.
Plus, you got to go up hills. It is.
I definitely would have called the lift at that point. I would have paid the $15 for the lift to take me home.
Yeah, good luck with that in Pullman. So this is Podcast versus Everyone, episode 186. I'm Craig Powers. With me, as usual, is Jeff Nusser. And so Jeff,
I'm never going to live that down. I'm never going to live that down, am I? That one episode out of damn near 200 now. And so I'm now almost always.
Well, that's what everyone told me. You can't say always anymore. You can't say always. So I'm like, fine.
As usual.
I have to
only
change.
185 out of 186. It's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah, it's all right. I guess it's over 99%. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So,
continue.
anyways. So we had a fun weekend. That was cool. But we got back, there was you got shit to catch up on. And we got family shit and just couldn't record, even though it probably would have been a fun episode. But now you just get down and out, Jeff and Craig, talking about, we'll start with the men. Once again, failing to win in the mountain, although they did win last year at Utah. But as per usual, getting swept in the mountains. And kind of just the combo of the losses just could not be more fucking annoying.
It's
just
always
like
annoying. That's the thing.
The way
Whenever
they
you go
went
out
down,
there, it's annoying.
The way both of them went down was incredibly annoying. You have a pair of bigs, one for each team, going nearly perfect, and but still in Colorado, still playing some great defense, just unable to score. Utah scoring just fine, just unable to stop them. Not having TJ in Utah was a bummer. Mo completely going over against Colorado, where it's just like, man, just can't catch a break on this team. But yeah, start with the Utah game. It was just the interior. We've talked about how at times the 2-point percentage, the interior defense has been much, much worse this season. And Brandon Carlson, who was shut down in Pullman, very complete opposite of that.
Very much not shut down.
Very much. He did miss one 3-pointer. He wasn't totally perfect, but 22 points on just 12 shots.
That's pretty good.
And it was just frustrating, because we just couldn't stop him. Our interior defense, once again, without FA, without Deshaun, just has really taken a step back, and which is a bummer because it was such a strength of the team last year. And really, that's been the crux of why they have taken such a step back on defense this year. Also, you could put turnovers into that, but I think they could gamble more for turnovers knowing that they had the protection at the rim. So they can't do any of that. So it's just been frustrating. And for a team that they shut down pretty well in Pullman, and then to give up 1.24 in Salt Lake is just frustrating. I know it's just this mountain trip is typically not good. And of course, WSU still never won in Boulder. And it's just, it's frustrating. These two teams, we talk about it, they're, I think a lot of it has to do with the elevation, but they both have good crowds and all that too, but they're always towards the top. Colorado on Ken Pomeroy's home court advantage estimates, which is based on your per game differences between home and road margin on your last 60 home and road conference games. Colorado is 3rd and Utah is 15th. So you have this very difficult two teams that would be difficult road trips on their own, and the Pac-12 for just so nice for all the other teams packages them together, and you get to go play at them both in a weekend. Two of the best home teams in the entire country. So it's frustrating, but you get to that Colorado game, and if you would have told me we would have hold them to 0.87 per possession, you would have thought you would have won. But Colorado's defense is good. We talked about with Bryce a bit how the teams that, as Bryce puts it, play the scout, that actually basically cater their defense to the way that we play, which means run us off the 3-point line. That's almost entirely what it means.
Yes.
Typically have better success than versus teams like, say, Arizona, that just kind of played their normal style and let us bomb away, let Mo have his space up top. So 0.85, so it's 0.89, Colorado 0.85, so 55 points on 65 possessions, not great. It was good to have Bamba back, and he really was their primary offense in the second half. His drives to the basket, something that no one else on this team can do. Getting to the foul line, that was an issue. Obviously, he's not shooting free throws well. I think that's where his shot, and he was not shooting 3-pointers well. I think that's where that injured hand is really impacting him. The support hand on that jumper, on that free throw, because those 2 of 5 crucial free throws, he missed a few. Obviously he really was really hesitant to even look for 3-pointers. You could see he was kind of trying to catch the ball. He wasn't even trying to catch the ball out there, and even when he didn't look to have any intention of shooting the ball. But yeah, it's frustrating. Andre, it was nice to see him, have a nice game. But again, he was reluctant to shoot anything that was contested, even though he made one in the second half. Really reluctant to shoot anything contested, so he only got two 3-point attempts. But then, obviously Kamani was able to make one, but Powell only 1 3-point attempt. Rodman shot 4, but they were tough. Like, he only had one.
They weren't the greatest.
I think he had 2 that were open, and 2 were forced, really. And then Jabe, no one's given him a comfortable 3-pointer at this point. Like, he's
right.
just not happening for him.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, if you want to beat us some other way, that's fine, but we're literally not going to give you an inch of space to get off a shot. So, I mean, I don't know how long it's been since we've had a game where we only had 16 threes. I mean, I guess I could look that up real quick, but that is an exceptionally low number for us. Yeah. We typically are easily in the 20s. Let me look really quick.
We had
okay, well, I guess that was only the 3rd lowest this year. We only had 14 attempts against Oregon. We only had 13 attempts against Hawaii. Interesting nugget. I mean, I know we've lost a lot of games this year, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of our 9 lowest 3-point attempt games are losses. Yeah. Now, that might be, or actually, I guess it's 7 of 8. Sorry, 7 of our lowest 8 are losses. I don't know if that's really actually legit analysis, but
I think it
kind of seems like there's something there, because we really rely on that to generate offense.
I mean, if we're not taking attempts, it is definitely because the opposing team is not allowing us to, or is playing right. Basically how we play. Forcing teams off the line. And right. if we're not taking attempts, they're forcing us to do other things. And WSU really doesn't have a lot of downhill players that can make plays in the lane. Not a lot of players that are comfortable. We have Bamba, and then you have Gay who can operate, 15 and in. Not right. against Colorado. Not against right. Colorado at all. That was... No. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Gay that absolutely had to be. I know he's only played for 4 years, but even when he picked up a ball the first time and ran with some guys, he was probably bigger and taller than them, and probably scored at least 1 basket. But 20 minutes, he was in foul trouble. 0 for 7, only took 5 2-pointers. Took 2 threes. Just offensive rating of 5, which I think you only got from that 1 offensive rebound. Otherwise, you would have been a nice fat goose egg. 4 turnovers. Yikes, man. Just a yikes of all yikes to have a guy who is your star big man and has been your best player at many times this season. Just absolutely like literally laying an egg. And in a game where if he would have done anything, the Cougs win.
Almost literally anything. Yeah.
And
I mean, he was coming off a pretty good game against Utah. I mean, even though, Carlson obviously stole the show. I mean, he had a good game, 20 points, 7 rebounds. It wasn't the most efficient game ever. Yeah, good offensive game. Yes,
well, we would killed for
the qualifier, but yeah, he's 20 points on 15 shots, no 3-pointers, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. Like, yeah, like that's a good efficient game. Guy who's using 34% of your possessions, offensive ratings 101. I mean, it's a little lowish, but when a guy's using 34%, like that's within the realm of that's fine. We
would have gladly accepted that against Colorado.
Yeah, if we do that, if he does that against Colorado, or even half of that, it's probably a comfortable victory. And I think that's the part that's most frustrating is, I mean, look, when you go to these mountain schools, I mean, you talked about what a tough trip it is. Like at this point, you just know one of the two is going to be a turd. Like you just know that, like, that's just kind of how it goes. More often than not, it's been 2 turds, but it's like, we've also had, a little bit of life, under Kyle Smith, you mentioned last year. So I think the thought was, okay, we had our turd against Utah. One thing, the nice thing was, that game was on Thursday. We had 2 full days of rest before playing on Sunday. So I think that really worked to our advantage. And so we get in this close game and, you get TJ Bamba back and all this, and you just need something from Mohamed Gay. And he obviously doesn't provide it. I think Lawson Lovering, their big guy, he's 7'1", 225. I think, he was kind of uniquely built, I think, to slow down Gay. The kinds of things that he had success with against Utah, Carlson's not the most fleet of foot, and Mo was able to draw a bunch of fouls on him, but notably not the 5th fucking foul because he refused to put the ball on the floor after drawing fouls 3 and 4, putting the ball on the floor. But I digress. Lovering just kind of with his length and his foot speed, I think just kind of, a little better foot speed, a lot better length. He's 7'1". I just think was sort of uniquely positioned to challenge Mo. And, you mentioned, and Adrian Branch, whenever he calls his games, loves to mention, how new to the game Mohamed Gay is. Look, he has made some massive strides this year. To be a guy who's as inexperienced with the game as he is, just overall, and to come in as a freshman and really basically be the 5th option, right? Like he really kind of was the 5th option on the offense last year, to then become the 1st option on the offense, and to perform the way he has performed is just like been really, really, really like good. Like, I don't know how you can look at this year and not think that what he has done has really been pretty spectacular. I mean, I guess maybe some casual fans would want more because they always want more, but it's like, I mean, he's been just about everything we could have wanted, at least offensively. Right. So, you come to sort of think, all right, this is the guy, this is who he is. And then there's a clunker. And you just go, oh man, but it's so hard to make that jump from a low usage, basically spare part to now you're the lead guy. And he's done such an admirable job with it overall that the clunker becomes surprising, but the clunker probably shouldn't be surprising because it just is really, really hard to carry that load every night. And when you become the focal point of the opposing defense,
he's the number
which
one
he has
on the
become,
scout. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like he's become that. You have to stop him. You have to, keep him from getting into the lane. You have to keep him from posting up down low. You have to force him into those mid-range jump shots, which he's pretty good at hitting. But if you're the defense, you're like, that's what we want him to do. Right. So, Colorado, I think really just, and by the way, Colorado's a great defense, like a really, really,
top
really
20
good defense.
KenPom defense.
Yeah. So not a shock that we had a really tough time. And, the hard part is, like you said, if he does anything, at all, we probably win. We damn near won the game without him doing anything, so that part's frustrating, right? Because when we think about the season overall, and we started to, when we recorded 2 weeks ago, we started to kind of let our imagination run wild with, what might be possible. And, some of that was like, okay, so we said, you got to beat Cal and Stanford. They did that. And then you're like, okay, got to get one of the two on the mountain trip. And they didn't, so it's definitely a bummer from that perspective.
Yeah. And how it went down again, just, I mean, we haven't talked about it, the women's, win at Oregon, but it was a great win, but there was just times when all Oregon wanted to do was shoot threes and we were going under these screens. And so we come out on those last two possessions against Colorado, the men, in zone, and it worked fine on the second to last. But then the last possession, they're out there, and it really was so easy to get that shot. Like, and I don't want to take too much of, I don't want to get too into Kyle's coaching in this game because he got nothing from his star and they still almost won on the road. But there was some part of me in this game, I know why he switched to the zone, because Colorado has a bunch of guys that can put the ball on the deck, and their quickness was giving us trouble. But they also were not scoring that much. And so I don't know. Like, I think maybe if you just put your guys, honestly, they could have put in Adrame and Mo in there together because they had a timeout. Or maybe they didn't have a timeout, but I mean, there's a chance you're going to be able to sub out Adrame. But they go in the zone and, TJ's got the guy, but just a simple screen under the screen, wide open three. It's a 32% 3-point shooter, but he also shoots most of his 3-pointers off the dribble, so that's where he's most comfortable.
And it was
and KJ Simpson, it was wide
fucking open. Like it wasn't even like semi-contested. It was just like, they expected him to drive. He didn't drive. And he had a wide open, clean look from the top of the key, which is, at least in the college game, I think probably pretty typically one of the highest percentage areas to shoot from out there. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's, again, like you said, don't want to kill Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith does so many awesome things. I love him. My faith in him has not wavered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that fucking zone. That zone is so bad. It's so bad. And I cannot understand why we use it as often as we do, because it is just so dreadful. It's so dreadful. And in that situation, you are not trying to, you're not trying to protect someone in foul trouble, right? Like you're not, I think, Mo had 4 fouls, but you're not trying to protect him with that. It just is, I don't know. Like you mentioned, I would have loved to see them maybe try to do a little offense defense type substituting. There was a timeout before that play. Could have brought in Adrame and had, both those guys, both the towers in there and just really just try to muck up things around the basket. Zhang has shown he can block shots. He is going to be a legit shot blocker. He's got the timing, he's got the length. At the very least, they could have affected something. I don't know. It's maybe TJ wasn't supposed to go under the screen. I mean, I'm reminded of what game was it last year where a guy went under a screen? Flowers went under a screen and got shot over, and maybe it was the USC game in Pullman or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just was sometimes dudes just make a bad decision. I mean, maybe TJ wasn't supposed to go under that screen. I don't know that for sure. What I do know is, man, if you're running a zone and a simple screen, if you're dribble one screen and you get an open shot on that zone, somebody has really fucked up. And to me, that's as tough as it is to say, that's coaching, right? When the zone is that bad, that's coaching. And if you can't coach them to be better in that zone, then you probably should stop running it. Like, full stop. Like, just stop it and do what I mean. Like the Cal game, like we watched the Cal game, right? Cal couldn't get off a shot when we're running man to man. And then about halfway through the first half, we start running zone. All of a sudden, Cal starts making shots. Start getting back into it. Beginning of the second half, we go back man to man. Cal can't get off a shot for about 10 minutes. Like, what are we like? I don't know. What am I missing? Like, do you have ideas? Do you have thoughts? Cause I'm like, I must be missing something.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's just, I think he felt like, because they were calling a ton of fouls. We had been in the double bonus for 10 minutes.
Yes.
And they were probably like, well, if we go into man, they're going to call a foul on us on a drive. And so let's go into zone. We're not going to be anywhere near the guys. And sure enough, we weren't. And that's how it ends. So that we know that the zone performs much worse than their man-to-man defense. I know that they track this, and it's still just kind of it's wild, right?
Yeah.
I think it might have. No, I can't. I'm trying to figure out what game that was. Where the winning jumper over Flowers, but I just it's frustrating. Just that, like a defense that hasn't been great, but typically like works their butt off, like gives up that easy of a look in a tie game. Like it's it's just so frustrating. It's just like I threw a pillow at my stairs and I said, I'm so fucking sick of this basketball season. And I knew I had to go to the grocery store after the game, and so I immediately just went to the grocery store because I was just like, I gotta do something else now because this is just like, it's just, and you could add in like much of last season too, where there's just these frustrating losses, and it's like, from year to year, it always just seems like you're supposed to get paid off. Like the next year, you get like all those close losses turn to wins, and this year it's just more of the same. The Utah game, the Utah game at home, the Baylor game, the UCLA game, like now Colorado, Arizona State games that UNLV, like just games that seemed winnable and they just don't win them. It was that Stanford game was a little cathartic because we came out on top in the end, but and we finally got some fortune. A guy had a tip. I think their young big took his shot way too quickly, but they still almost got a wide open tip, and the guy just kind of botched it in the Stanford game. So we got some fortune, but then it's like right back down to earth. So basically, we've gotten one this year, and then I guess the George Washington game, but honestly, whatever on that one.
Yeah.
But I'd gladly exchange that one for UCLA.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just this has just been a trying season. Obviously they've just been injured for much of it. They're as kind of healthy as they're going to be now. Even though TJ's banged up, I don't. It seems like it's just like a management thing. Who knows? Like he's probably just going to be playing through injury the rest of the year when he plays. Who even knows if he'll play from game to game? That's kind of up in the air. And so, but we have Yaki back. He's playing, more like himself, but he's also a guy that still has never been all that particularly assertive, which again speaks to your point about Mo, where a guy can go from fifth option to a first option. We've seen, DJ raise his usage, but it's still not that high. He's still like usually under 20% usage. But Yaki has never really gotten above that, and he just never seems to show that willingness to be that guy to kind of step in, and maybe he doesn't have the skill set. I don't know, but he still seems to, but he just doesn't use it. But it's just tough. And now that, so yeah, where does that leave him now? You didn't get that Colorado win. It's hard. You only have so many quad one chances, and you just lost 2 of them. And so now you're like 1-8 or something against quad ones. So that doesn't look good. And like, so even if you get a bunch of quad one wins, you're still going to have a pretty strong losing record against those quad ones. As far as quad ones they have left, Arizona at home, USC on the road, UCLA on the road.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it. So they do have that opportunity. That's in the next 2 weeks, right? So there is an opportunity here if like, I don't know, Bryce Hendricks, you're still on this, we still have a chance train. I mean, really what we're talking about, you got 10 games left, right? Honestly, I think you're probably talking about needing to win at least 9 of the 10.
You could probably,
and if not all 10.
Yeah.
Right.
You could probably, you might be able to get away with losing at UCLA.
Right. But that also is your best chance to have another signature win, right?
Like you'd probably be better off losing to USC.
Right.
And then beating UCLA.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That USC game is going to be, I think, probably a quad one game too. So 3 out of your next 4 quad ones. Oh, sorry. All right. So 3 out of your next 4 quad ones, right? And then Arizona State is, I think they're pretty squarely bubble right now, but like, I think they're on the right side of the bubble at the moment. I think USC is going to be a tournament team. So you got 4 games against 4 tournament teams, and as we have talked about sort of ad nauseum, the committee wants to see that you can beat other tournament teams, right? Like the women's team has really benefited from that. Obviously the men's and the women's committees are different, but they have the same guiding principles for the most part. So, you go out and sweep Arizona State this weekend, and it's like, okay, right? Like now we're back on track, and, and then you got USC, UCLA, you get one of those, and then you win out. You've now won 9 of 10. You are 18-13 overall. You are 13-7 in the Pac-12. Like, okay, like I still don't know if that's enough to get you in. Probably not, but it at least maybe kind of sort of gets you in the conversation. And the bubble, as we talked about over and over, the bubble is a moving target. Like it's not you're not trying to get over a bar. We're not using, wins above bubble and you just have to get above this number. It is, it's entirely dependent on the teams that you're competing with around you and their resumes. So, and every year people are like, oh my God, weakest bubble ever, because the last, 5 teams in the field all kind of aren't that impressive. And that's just, the nature of the deal. So, they do have a chance. I however slim, is it likely? Of course not. Pomeroy, figures they will go 5-5 over these last 10. That's probably likely, but maybe 6-4. But, if you like to dream, there's the path, right? You got 3, your next 4 against probably tournament teams, and 3 of them are going to be quad one games. And, maybe if you figure it out, then, you can start dreaming, because the last 6 there's no reason why they can't win the last 6. So.
Yeah, and it's again, they've played the toughest conference schedule up to now, and it'll still be that until that last 6. Like there is, I guarantee they'll still have the toughest, because with Arizona State, USC, UCLA.
Yes.
So yeah, so we're just. I mean, it sucks to have this all stacked up right in the front. Really, the only break they've had in the conference schedule since the conference season started is that Cal Stanford weekend, and they got 2 wins. Otherwise, it's just been a lot of all the best teams in the conference more than once. That's They play Utah twice. They're gonna, before they even play Washington, they're gonna play USC and UCLA and Arizona State twice. Before they play Oregon State, they haven't played Oregon State. They only get to play Oregon State once. So and they did get to play Cal at least. And that's the one kind of easy one. Because Stanford's looking better too, honestly.
Yeah.
It's they took down Oregon, which I think there was some hemming and hawing, like, Stanford, that win wasn't good enough. It's like, it was a win, so
it was a
that's
win,
better than not. Really, it's a long shot. Like, how good is this team? Not that good, especially when you have Bamba playing, and in that three is taken away and the foul shooting is impacted. That's huge, because when they have their full start, that regular starting lineup, the idea is that you have Powell, Rodman, Yaki, Bamba, 4 3-point shooters around Gay, and then 2 good offensive rebounders supporting Gay, who is a good offensive rebounder, and Yaki and Rodman. So you're kind of set up. That's how your offense sets up. And when we saw Huinsu start, that was taken away a bit. You only had 3 of the shooters. But if Bamba becomes a non-shooter now, that makes it tougher to kind of run what you want, and make But teams now, how teams adjust to that. They may still treat TJ like a shooter. That's kind of as important as him actually making the threes, but just not, because they've really gotten by on their offense for most. I know it sounds crazy, but they've gotten by on their offense for this entire, especially the conference season, and the defense just hasn't been there for most of the games, and especially against like or better opponents. So we need to be able to score, and TJ hitting threes is important. It kind of stresses me out that teams that make a point to drive us off the line have a lot of success. Now, maybe, there are teams that try to make a point like Cal to do that, but also just weren't good anywhere else, and so we were able to score on them. But it's stressful knowing that, but also, again, you basically have to win all or almost all of them. So there's not a lot of pressure at this point.
Yeah.
And they have a good shot to beat a top 10 team again at home on Thursday. They beat this team by, Arizona's going to be pissed, I guarantee. But they beat this team by 13.
Really well. They played really well against UCLA over the weekend, beat them. So they're kind of that I think lifts their spirits a little bit. So, but I hope that we pack the place out. I hope that I wish that game was on Saturday.
I wish they were
flipped. That would probably, I don't want to say guarantee. That's not, nothing guarantees good crowds for us, but that would be much more likely to have a good crowd, I think, if the game was on Saturday. But at the very least, I hope the students turn out. I hope they make some noise. They really do have an opportunity to impact the game. And hopefully, some of those Spokanites will drive down and fill the place up too. If I was anywhere near, if I was anywhere near, I'd be there, but I will not be anywhere near.
Yeah, so that was, so they going to need Mo to have a game again and need to shoot well, 40+% from 3 again. And then they have a chance, and if they can do what they did defensively again, which is no guarantee, because that was kind of out of the world for them, out of this world for them. But yeah, if they can replicate some of that, I wouldn't expect a 13-point win, but I could see them keeping this game close.
Yeah,
and maybe they'll prevail. KenPom has a 42% chance to win, 74-72 predicted score. So KenPom's numbers this deep in the season think it's going to be a close game. And hey, we've already beat them, and that would be huge. to sweep Arizona. The conference would be pissed. So I wouldn't expect any whistles. If now that's the problem. If we were more of a bubble team right now, you might expect more of a better whistle in your favor because the conference would want, because Arizona's already in. Conference would just, but we're not really a bubble team. But hey, I would love it. You know, we said this in the preseason or in the non-conference when things were going poorly. Just got to enjoy the successes, and because really this, I mean, again, if you only root for Cougar basketball teams that are NCAA tournament worthy, then you don't root for Cougar basketball very often.
It's so true.
We have a team that has a lot of fun players to watch on it. And a lot of guys that are fun to root for. So I don't know, just I'm gonna enjoy it. Hopefully they can, knock off some teams. If it doesn't lead, if it doesn't lead to NCAA tournament, that's fine. But on the way, if they, ruffle some feathers, that'd be fun. And so hopefully they can do that and then also beat UW on the way. And let's just, they have the talent to contend with anyone. We've seen that. The two most talented teams in the conference are UCLA and Arizona. They lost to UCLA by 1. They beat Arizona by 13. They have the talent to contend with anyone in this conference. So that alone should make you interested in still following them, because it could be a hell of a basketball game anytime they play. So I don't know, it's definitely Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance, but at least when it comes to NCAA tournament, but it's still fun that this team is not, it has enough talent to contend. And so you're not going into every game being like, we're going to get blown out by 30 or whatever. So,
yep.
So that's all right. So I mean, that's where we're at.
We have watched so much shitty basketball, truly shitty basketball over the years, that I am not going to let some, slightly disappointing results crush my enjoyment of watching these guys. Like, they're good kids and they're fun to watch and they're generally well coached, the puzzling zone deployment aside, right? Like, yes, we want tournament teams. I truly believe that, things might be different if Miles Rice or Deshaun Jackson or both were playing this year. We've been over all that. So, if that's the case and there are extenuating circumstances, then, whatever, you just kind of shrug your shoulders and it's frustrating, but what are you going to do? I don't know, man. I'm old enough now. I'm like, man, what are you going to do? Sometimes shit happens and life sucks and whatever. And they've still given us enough good moments, positive moments, to feel good about where the program is still going. And I know people still, stress out about the portal and, if we don't make it this year, who's even going to be back on the team next year? Okay. If you want to stress out, that's fine. We went through this last year at the end of the year and they retooled the roster. And again, we have a roster that probably would have made the tournament had it been, fully healthy, which I understand. Sometimes people aren't fully healthy, but again, that's just, sort of bad luck. So I am choosing to enjoy it. You are choosing to enjoy it. And we would encourage all of you to just enjoy it and enjoy the ride along the way, because it is going to get there eventually. But even if it doesn't, it's okay. It's okay. You'll make it. It's okay. Just enjoy the basketball. We talked about it. The previous 6 years before this, in KenPom, they were 190, 186, 186, 193, 186, 207. And these 4 years, they went to 127, 78, 44, and they're 66 now. They've been in the top 80 3 years in a row since KenPom has started once, in the Tony Bennett, 3 Tony Bennett years. Now, we're not up to that level, but, last year was pretty much similar to Tony Bennett's last year. In terms of the quality of a team.
but yeah, it's just it's like our program sits on the program all-time rankings has went from I think 99 when Kyle Smith took over to 92 on KenPom. So this is like this is better than typical. And yeah, if not for some insanely bad luck, it would be exactly what everyone wanted. And hopefully we get a season, because I have no doubt that the staff can, even if guys leave, can retool a roster. They've showed that over and over and over again. Hopefully we'll get a season, hopefully next season, where we don't have all this bad luck and we have the roster and we win some close games and all that stuff. So, yeah, the good thing is they're not that far away from that still.
Yep.
Like they're really not that far. And it's you're looking at their 66 in KenPom right now, when they've had 2 starters out all season, when they had another 2 rotation players out for many of the games in the regulars in the non-conference, and they're still at 66 right now, which is about where they started. It predicted based on last season and their departures and everything. So if they just have their guys and if they just have their roster, that it can happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe we're just fucking snake bitten. I don't know. But it does make it more frustrating knowing what it could have been. But at this point, I'm just trying not to do that anymore, because like Deshaun and Miles were never going to play. And so it's like hard to be like, yeah, if they were here. I mean, it is. I'll use that in defending like people who are like, fire the coach or whatever. Like if you can't use that context of all the injuries and the players out that they've dealt with this season, then I honestly, you just don't want to have a logical conversation anyway. Like you can't, like you just have to already made your decision, I guess.
Right.
Like if you can't, if you're not going to accept context of Miles Rice, the starting point guard, and Deshaun Jackson, the starting center, being out for the entire season, and a team which has scholarship limits, getting 2 of those scholarships out right off the top at critical positions. It's just where basically you put in a freshman in both situations into that position, taking up those scholarship minutes. I can't. I'm just gonna enjoy whatever happens the rest of the way. Hopefully, there's stuff to enjoy, and we'll just see what happens by the end of the season. And if players leave, they leave. But again, they'll like I believe this staff can bring guys in again.
Yep. I'm with you.
Yeah, we're just talking, preach to the choir, and I'm guessing anyone that still listens to us is also on board with that as well.
You're probably right, but at least they're all sitting there listening to this right now, just kind of nodding their head, going, "Yeah, damn right, preach it."
Hey, and TJ and Deshaun, those are 2 I know for sure, got trucks today.
Woo! Good for them.
So part of some NIL trucks from the Crypto Cougs group, the other group that we haven't talked about before. You saw they both got trucks from what is? I'll give them a shout out. What is the? I'm not seeing
Brotherton. So we got Brotherton. He says Brotherton Car Dealership. I think that's Brotherton. GMC whatever, because it looks like he's got a GMC. What's their truck? Sierra, right? I think.
Yeah.
So he's got one of those, and Crypto Cougs, which is great. Apparently Crypto Cougs have not lost all their crypto investment, so that's pretty great. Good for them. And
looks like Brotherton out in Renton, so must be Coug owned, I assume. So shout out to Brotherton GMC, hooking TJ and Deshaun up. And yeah, so there is some NIL juice on the Cougs side. You know, if this means Deshaun can come back and TJ can come back next season, that'd be great.
That would be great.
Love to have both those guys back. Yeah.
Me too. Because we did see this weekend what a difference having a guy who can get to the rim makes. I mean, that Colorado game felt like maybe it was kind of slipping away. And then, you know,
all of a sudden TJ's like, I got it.
Yeah, I got this. I'm going to get to the rim over and over. Because, I mean, that's really what they were begging us to do. And
really,
and TJ did it.
The one guy that could take it, like, that could actually, like, because the refs were going to call any bump on drives. And now TJ generally has to get bumped a lot because he's so strong. And he's not really one to flop. He needs to learn that Euro flop, you know, just kind of.
Yes, he does. He needs to throw.
Of course, if he's not shooting, if he's having trouble with free throws, maybe he should just get all the way to the rim because he's a hell of a finisher. He's turned himself into a hell of a finisher at this point.
Yes, he has.
We were just waiting for that the last 2 years, and now he's one heck of a finisher through contact. It's always through contact for him. But yeah, so yeah, enjoy that GMC, TJ. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they earned it.
Yeah. And I guess with that, we'll take a break, and we'll come back. We'll talk some women's hoops, who had the best of times, the worst of times since we last recorded. So we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Hey, well, before we talk about women's hoops, we'll do what we always do. You know, Jeff, we got to the last 2 weekends. We've just been seeing so much of each other in person and drinking beer together at bars.
It's been awesome.
The last 3 weekends.
Yes, that is accurate. That's right. I forgot. I drove out to Beer. Sarah drove me out to Beer Star so we could hang out after Arizona. And then we went to Pullman. And then, God, we saw each other again on Saturday at Rainier Growlers, man. I could get used to this, Craig.
We got to drink some Russian River beer.
We did. Yeah.
On draft in Washington.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Russian River. I wanted to get a bottle, but those things sold out so quick.
Yes, of course.
And I have children now. I can't go to a 21 and over bar and bring my kid in and, hey, I'll gladly take one of those. By the time the mom gets home and from work and I can go to the bar, they were gone. They were long gone. But I enjoyed on Friday night up in Seattle and on Saturday with you, lots of Russian River on draft. And so I was very excited. Love them. And if you don't know, Russian River pulled out of Washington in 2012 because we had a real shitty distribution setup. Basically, they had no control over where their beer went. Now, a lot of breweries have set up like small distribution companies so they can distribute their own beer. And they end up distributing other breweries' beer, usually from out of state. And since they have that relationship with the brewery, they can be more selective in knowing where it goes. They don't have all these automatic accounts where the, Russian River, Playa de Elder is not going to be shipped to some random like liquor store that doesn't even know what it is or Total Wine or something. Now Stoop is distributing it for them. So Stoop, they can deliver it to their best accounts and all that. So, or, the accounts that they know will appreciate having Russian River. And so that is why Russian River is back after 11 years in the dark. No Pliny the Elder in Washington State, no Blind Pig, no STS pills, but we got them all back now. Now they go very quickly, and they probably will forever.
Yeah, sadly, I did not get a glass of Pliny.
Well,
it was there the night before, but it was not there by the time you and I got.
Yeah, you texted me. You're like, "Oh, maybe we can have Pliny." I was like, if it's still there, we can't.
And I was like, it'll probably still be there. It was not there.
No,
I was trying to be honest.
That is the one that people were going to go for immediately. Even in California, where like it's been a staple for 2 decades. People are still like, it's a joke. The beer stores that get it, they get the calls constantly. Do you have any Pliny? Do you have any Pliny? So people are still like just tracking down that 20-year-old double IPA, which is still very good. And especially now that I've come back to kind of over hazies in general, and so have that crisp, clean shit. That's good stuff. But you did have a Blind Pig, which many people consider better than. A lot of people like Blind Pig better than Pliny. So
yeah, it was excellent. The STS was excellent. It was a very pleasant afternoon of drinking beer and eating pizza and just giving myself a giant gut ache. It was great.
Yeah, just love that. Love that. Enjoy that not happening in your youth. The youth so this. Man, when I eat Takis or eating hot chicken or something at this point, it's just like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't have to just deal with this stuff. No. But anyways, that was what we were drinking this weekend. What are you drinking now?
Well, right now I am not drinking anything extraordinary or
how dare you?
I know. I felt like I just felt like having a Lucille. Actually, I'm about to start my second Lucille, because I do think that we are. Yeah, I do think that we are truly lucky to have Georgetown local, and we're able to just get like outstanding fresh, Bodies and Lucille's pretty much anywhere, that you go. And they're both, truly just outstanding beers. And you can pick them up at just about any grocery store, which I usually do. And so yeah, I'm having a couple of Lucille's here because I thought, that just sounds good tonight. So I grabbed them. My fridge is always stocked with one or the other or both. So that is what I'm rolling with.
Why'd you go with Lucille and not Bodie or, Johnny?
I think you probably already know the answer to that. I'll give you one guess.
That's what they had
at
Costco.
But they were nice and fresh. That's why I grabbed one. They were very fresh. So yeah. So I grabbed a box of Lucille.
Lucille, much more like a classic West Coast IPA.
Yes.
Than Bodie, which kind of is a little bit hazy, a lot more juicy, and I think that's why it's generally more well liked. But Lucille's got them classic pine flavors and stuff.
Yeah, Lucille's fantastic too. Both are excellent in their own way and for their own occasion. And so this is, I was like, Lucille, let's do that tonight. How about you?
All right. Well, I just went down and I went down to the basement, and often I just am looking for a smaller bottle because I'm not drinking it, big. I just pulled one off of, I have to have some beer sitting out on a table down there, and one I definitely forgot that I had. It's a beer called Stone the Crow, barley wine aged in bourbon barrels. I love them barley wines, from White Elm Brewing Company out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Before I talk about the beer, one thing I'm surprised with is it does not seem that they have I'm looking it up and I'm not seeing any news about it. They don't seem to have gotten any a cease and desist or litigation from Stone Brewing, which has been very active in any beer, any brewery that has the word Stone in it. They send a cease and desist. Because Rubens had a barley wine that had the word Stone in it. It was very similar to this, and got a cease and desist from Stone. So they're very big on protecting it. They won that lawsuit. against Keystone Light for putting stone on their cans. I think in part in preparing for that lawsuit, they had to prove that they are active in protecting their IP. So they've been, maybe that's White Elm was after that, and so they didn't have to worry about it as much. So they've been super litigious in just even the tiniest breweries, like just going after them and saying, you can't put stone on your beer. You can't call your brewery something stone or something like that. Like, so they've been pretty crazy about that. So I was surprised that I expected to find some of that. I haven't found any of that. So, but this is a solid barley wine. Very tasty. Let's see. It comes in. It looks like they make a cognac barrel-aged version. So some of our listeners may be asking, where's the cognac? I don't know. I don't have that one. You know who you are. It is 15%. God damn it. Probably should have looked that up before I open this fucker up. So happy Tuesday to everyone. I got this 15%, 12.7 ounce beer to drink. So yeah. So it's tasty. It's got a lot of the caramel, got a lot of the, like a little bit of toffee. The bourbon, the barrel's not too strong, probably because 15% is fighting that pretty hard. But yeah, it's tasty. I drink it again. White Elm, Stone the Crow. I probably got it on Tavar. If you want like a code for Tavar, hit me up on socials. You could get like, I think 20% off your first order or something like that. I don't really care. I swore off buying that from that anymore because it's pretty easy to buy, and they have, and I'm not like hyping them up. They have a lot of really good beers on there, and I was just getting in trouble. Too many beers were arriving, and so I had to be like, no more Tavar. But if you want to find beers out of market, really hard to find, crazy beers, like they're getting this barrel-aged stout from Side Project Brewing in Missouri soon. Like they get crazy barrel-aged stouts from like Anchorage and stuff like that. Like they get some wild stuff, but yeah, you pay for it, and it's really entirely too easy to order, and so I had to stop myself. But I think this had to be where that came from, because this beer is from Nebraska, and I do not think it distributes in Washington. So yeah, White Elm Brewing Company, good stuff.
Woo!
Yeah. So yeah, now that we've told you what we drank, let's talk about women's hoops. Now, 2 weeks ago, well, the weekend before last, just an absolute perfect weekend to thrust themselves into the middle of the tournament conversation, which honestly, I don't give a fuck. Charlie Cream says, I think they're much more solidly in than he thinks because he has often underestimated how much impact the committee puts in big wins and in strength of schedule. Which WCU, I mean,
last year, if I remember right, last year he sort of barely had us in the tournament, and then as it turned out, we were very comfortably in the tournament. So
I believe it was the same the year before, and he's kind of the only one that that I could ever.
That's
find
the other
that
issue.
Does it, that puts in any effort, like it puts in legitimate effort. So I think that they're probably, if you're looking at his stuff, always kind of put us up a couple seed lines. Is a good way to go. But one thing, obviously they go to Oregon State, win, go to Oregon, win in one of the most insane games. Just they totally blew it and almost completely blew it, or in regulation, and super impressive to come back and win after Bella fouls out, to come back and win with Jessica Clark filling in for Bella and just dominating overtime to win that Oregon game that was amazing. Jeff was watching it on an iPad in the car while we were driving back from Pullman.
Yeah. You were driving. You were sort of like trying to keep, the car on the road while I was driving, or while I was watching.
We got the lane assist. We got the radar cruise control. We were good.
Yeah.
My children in the back. Yeah.
And we were like, cheering along as the game was going, and we were apoplectic right at the end when it appeared that Oregon had sort of, won the game, but not won the game. And then there was, a 5-minute review.
Insanely
and then
long review.
The whole thing was such a mess. And, the fact that they were able to sort of like, bow up and survive overtime. Bella fouled out right at the end of regulation. So no Bella, but Jessica Clark was fantastic, and they end up winning that. So you're feeling good, you're riding high, and then you come into this weekend, big matchups at
Oregon.
home.
Oregon is still number 14 in net. So that is a premier win that they have on their resume that you cannot take away. You won at number 14, which rivals the home wins over Arizona and UCLA that they had in previous years. And WSU even, well, I'll get to this after. They come home, like you said. But once again, and we now know what happened based on social media posts from Charlisse, why she missed the previous 2 games. Her grandmother passed, and she went back for memorial service, it seems, and that is why she missed these 2 games. So, obviously good reasons to miss a basketball game. But yeah, she again missed these 2 games, which USC, UCLA, 2 solid teams. UCLA, a top 10 team, and that the way they played these 2 teams, tough, and way they played Utah tough without Charlisse, just shows how much better they are this year. How much better everyone else is around Charlisse. I know they lost the games, but they were right there to beat UCLA without Charlisse. Yep. And if they had Charlisse, no doubt in my mind they beat them. And I hope that, and luckily they had, so a good thing is they had Asira Tahina back, and she's missed some time. So when Charlisse comes back this week, they'll have that full roster again. And when they've had Tahina and Charlisse, they've been really, really good.
Yep.
I mean, they beat Oregon without Tahina. And now they got Tahina back. I could see them making a run towards the end. And I do think the committee will know that Charlisse missed those 4 games. And they will get not necessarily a full pass for the games, but they will be considered differently than if Charlisse had played in those games.
If the player that you were missing is fully back before the end of the season, and the committee feels like they have a real good sense of how good you are with that person, then you do get the benefit of the doubt, or at least historically teams have. So, and then I think also, some of it's going to come down to lobbying, like, just sort of educating the committee on, hey, look, we missed her for 4 games, but look at what we did in those 4 games. Yes, they actually, lost all of them, but, Utah, UCLA, those are both top 10 net teams where we, damn near won the game, right? Without maybe the best player in the Pac-12. I know that she's not going to win Pac-12 Player of the Year. I know that's probably going to be like, I'm drawing a total blank, but the girl down, Jones. Nicole Jones?
I might blow your mind a little bit. Right? I might blow your mind a little. UCLA is number 27 in net.
So. Okay. Didn't know that. Yeah. So at any rate, really
Utah is number 7.
Yeah. I knew Utah was up there. So you got these two games, you damn near win both of them. You're missing the player who perhaps is, actually the best player in the Pac-12. She won't win Pac-12 player of the year. Like I said, that'll probably be the girl down at Stanford. I think her last name is Jones, right? I'm like drawing a blank, but
yeah.
So, I think she's probably the Pac-12 player of the year, but I think there's a pretty good argument to be made.
Haley
Jones. There we go.
Yeah.
That Charlisse is the best player in the Pac-12, at least, she's averaging 20 points and 5 assists and 5 rebounds. Like that's really, really, really good. And so, missing her and still almost winning those games, I think kind of shows, the quality of the team. They do have, like you said, the really good win in their back pocket already.
Jessica Clark missed a lot of time, and then even when she was back, was playing kind of unhealthy, and having her, and so you have a legitimate big off the bench to back up Bella, and she has a skill set that even Bella, they're different. They're not exactly the same, And
they're very different.
Yeah, and then you have Tahina back, you have Charlisse back. Like this team's set up, and they're still number 44 in net.
Yep.
Like they're still a solid, and now they have everyone back. If they play to their potential, could get into the 30s, get in the top 30. Like, cause they could make a run like that. Cause if they're as good as I think they are, like with all those players, like this is the deepest, best team that Cammie has ever had when they have the whole full complement of players. And they've proven that, getting that win on the road against Oregon when you didn't actually have the full complement, and just having some real comfortable wins earlier in the season, and nearly beating Utah without Charlisse. There's just, impressive, like just dominating wins in other games, and that win at Houston, they're not a great team, but just to go down there, they were on a road trip, and to go on a road trip with a lot of teams don't do, like to get wins, to beat Oregon State. Oregon State has been kind of on the same trajectory as WSU, but WSU keeps getting these big wins over them. And it's been huge for those two wins in Oregon are going to be huge at the end of the season.
Yep.
Now they have, again, so coming up again, we don't say quad 1, quad 2 and stuff with the women, because for some reason they don't use it. It's kind of weird. I'm glad they use net though, because I think they were a little bit behind on that. But so you have Arizona State, which is kind of it would be a kind of a bad loss if you had it on there. They're, I think, 120 in net and 122. But then you have on Sunday a huge opportunity against Arizona, who's number 27 in net. And if you could get that game and then also hold serve against Arizona State, like if you go down and sweep this weekend, you got to be solidly in, and like there's no way that if four of their 5 losses are with their best player is not there, and otherwise or 4 of their 6 losses, their best player is not there, and then they can go down and beat 26 Arizona and win on the road against Arizona State. Got to think they're pretty solidly in at that point, and then it's just about beating who you're supposed to beat down the stretch. So yeah, it's a big weekend for them, and I got to think, just knowing the competitor that Charlisse is, she's going to come out and put on her best show, because and just how she's played this season, I expect her to play really well this weekend, make up for those games that she missed, and yeah, I think that this could be a huge weekend for them if they can beat Arizona State and then set up that huge matchup against Arizona. Both these teams, I think WSU would be a contender for the top 4 of the Pac-12 if they would have had Charlisse the whole year, but they're right there with Arizona, and they definitely can beat them with their full complement of players. So check that out. It says it's on Pac-12 Arizona, which means it'll be streaming on the app. The Arizona State game is on Pac-12 Washington. That's on Friday. They usually do Friday, Sunday. 11 a.m. start for the Arizona game, so that's kind of a bummer. But check it out, because after that, they got Stanford coming in. Maybe you never know.
You never know. You might get one at some point. They might.
Who just did?
Stanford's not invincible. They lost to USC.
USC. Yeah. So they're not invincible. Yeah. But yeah. So that's with their full complement of players, I'm excited to see what happens out this stretch. I definitely see them make a run at the NCAA tournament and actually make some noise in the NCAA tournament this year.
Yes.
With just a little bit deeper roster that they have.
Yep.
Great. So we talked about that. I don't know if you want to make fun of the Larry Scott in the Pac-12 one last time.
Well, I mean, I would make fun of it, except that money's coming out of our pockets. So,
oh my God.
So people who are not familiar with the story, the Pac-12, I haven't followed it that close, but apparently the Pac-12 received some overpayments from Comcast for Pac-12 network distribution, and essentially kept it, right? Like they just kind of went.
They didn't tell them.
Didn't tell them, and it was $50 million over however many years. And so now they've essentially discovered this, $50 million overpayment that needs to be sent back now. And, that's not good, because that, like I said, that is money that comes out of WSU's pocket along with everybody else's pocket, along the way. So that really blows. And, just sort of, I don't know, man, it sort of smacks of, all the things that we came to hate about Larry Scott, right? Like the sort of the arrogance and the, the shadiness and all of those things that, are problematic. And so now it's, it's got to be paid back. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten like extra pay on their paycheck or something and been like, I don't know what this is, but I'm just, I'm not going to say anything. And then, someday your employer notices and they actually ask you to pay that shit back, so they take that out of your future paychecks. If that's, I personally know people who that has happened to. So yeah, it really sucks. And like I said, WSU and the other Pac-12 schools are the ones that are going to, it's fun to laugh at because Larry Scott's easy to laugh at, but the people ultimately, Larry Scott's not paying the price for that.
Yeah, which sucks. That George Kliakoff gets the fun. It's fun for him to deal with that, and also when he's negotiating a new TV deal, gets to answer that question every time. Oh man, I tell you, Jeff, like randomly the Sonics will trend on Twitter, and I'll be like, wait, what? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? And then it's like nothing. It's just like random people tweeting about the Sonics. It's like, come on,
as people should,
tweeting about the fast food chain Sonic and putting an S on the end.
Yeah, they got you. They got you there on that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Right now, there's trending is also Bellingham, and I'm like, okay, is it Bellingham, Washington, or is it our famous favorite Dortmund footballer Jude Bellingham? I don't really know. Looks like it's Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, probably Jude.
That's good, because usually when a place like Bellingham might be trending, it would usually not be for a good reason right now, because we keep having people get shot up. So
yeah.
Anyway,
shout out to
let's not end on a downer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shout out to my hometown of Yakima.
Yeah. Exactly.
which was trending today on Twitter. Yeah.
For the wrong reason.
For the wrong reason. But yeah, let's not end on a downer. I don't know, man. Jalen Watson.
Try to bring it back up, Craig.
Jalen Watson had a huge pick to
oh my God. If anybody didn't see it, man. One-handed. Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so he's going to the AFC Championship, and obviously Gardner Minshew and Andre Dillard are going to the NFC Championship as reserves, but, making extra money on the way or whatever. So, Jalen, only one play away, Gardner. But yeah, so lots of Cougs in the championship games this weekend, if that's a thing that you like to follow. And yeah, that was, definitely wasn't rooting for the Chiefs, but when it was Jalen that got that pick, you're like, hell yeah, like go Cougs,
yeah,
go fucking Cougs,
sure.
Yeah.
I know we were sitting at Rainier Growlers when that happened. We were like, hey, Jalen Watson, that was Jalen. So yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, we're like, oh, the Chiefs could, maybe the Jags come back or whatever. Nope. Oh, it's Jalen. Hell yeah. Yeah, we were like, is that Jalen? Was that Jalen? That was Jalen. Yeah. Turns out he's pretty good. Turns out.
Yeah.
All those teams
as we all knew. We all knew that was the case. NFL teams just had to figure it out. Kansas City Chiefs got lucky.
Yep. Yeah, tall corners that are fast and athletic. Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, so I guess that's all we got. We'll end on the happy note now. If you like us, go ahead and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, all that good stuff. As you may or may not know, we SB Nation has informed us that they ain't paying us to do this anymore. They weren't paying us very much, so fuck off, Vox. I don't give a shit. Like, oh no, my penny per download. Well, I'm sorry, my third of a penny per download. Oh, please give it back.
Right. Split 3 ways.
Jim Bankoff, please. Oh, no. No, we were low on the list of the infuriating things that happen with that, including many very talented people. No one fires talented people like Jim Bankoff, dude. No one can. That dude is just very talented at that. But yeah, they're looking for $200 million to raise $200 million now. Wonder what they could do with that money. I don't know. But yeah, so I think our agreement with them ends at the end of the month. So, but we'll still be doing this. Where it will be,
we'll let you know where to find us.
Yeah,
whatever that is.
It just be warned. There may be a change, but we will do our best to communicate that change. If you don't use Twitter, mostly Twitter, shoot us an email at pod versus so we can inform you if something changes. Because otherwise, like, it's just going to be Twitter. We're going to be announcing it, maybe on Cougs Center if we still have that. So yeah, if you want to be notified via email, shoot us an email or whatever. But there's a chance that we'll be on a different podcast feed. But we're still going to do this. We like it too much. It's fun. And even Jeff, he couldn't get away. He tried to, and he couldn't. So he's stuck here.
You draw me back in.
So I guess you could subscribe, but if you should follow us on social, at the Craig Powers on Twitter and at Craig W Powers on Instagram. And Jeff is at Pod versus Everyone on Twitter and at NewsCoug on Instagram. So that might actually be important now. just so you can keep up with where we might go. So that's the news that I buried there. But I did want to say fuck off, but that was fun. And yeah, so I guess that's it. That's all, Jeff. So we just have to say go Cougs.
Go Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And get vaccinated.
It won't give you the shakes. It won't.
No.
Fuck those people.
No shakes.